me what the hell is this? I really don't understand it.
What the hell is wrong with y'all? You ain't that damn good. Stop acting like it.
Some ineffectual, privileged defeat, soft penis debutante.
Stop right there. Stop.
We think it amazing.
Welcome back. Round 3 has passed and gone, and the Stars, Sixers, and Heat did not disappoint. Or did they? Ben Duckett had 210 for the round, as well as Phillippe, Vince, and Johnson all going past 150. But players like Sam Harper, Tom Curran, and Jimmy Pearson all scored under 50. It's all okay now. However, the past is the past as we look into round 4 and what the Strikers and Renegades double game week has in store for us. Nathan, numbers boy, how are we on this fine Monday morning?
This is by far the earliest I've ever recorded a podcast. It is 5 a.m. It is 5 a.m. And I understand a lot of people wake up at 5 a.m. regularly, but we don't. We are a bunch of uni students, so 5 a.m. is a very unfamiliar concept for us, right? But we're here. We're here, so let's seize the day like the rest of these old fellas that wake up at 5 a.m. do, right? What better way to seize the day than talk some cricket?
What I wouldn't give to just do that all the time, but no, I can only do it on a part-time basis, I suppose. We'll start off with our round 3 preview, and we'll try and be quicker than we were last time because we said we'd be quick, and I'm not sure how quick we were in the end. The Sixers and Stars played our first game of the round this week, and we saw the Stars bat first, and Ben Duckett hit, what was it in the end? It would have been 68 off 29 I've got here. He really held the Stars innings together, I think, for them. No one else really contributed much. The next top scorer was Glenn Maxwell with 32 off 17, but he departed by the 12th over, and so I mean, after that, both Duckett and Maxwell were gone, and there just wasn't a lot left for the Stars. I mean, Sixers bowled relatively well, I think. Dwarshuis was pretty economical, 8.25. For what the total was, Todd Murphy was good as well, and then they didn't even have Jack Edwards bowl his 4 overs because he went off with that hamstring, which I know affected both of us. And probably affected many others. Do you have any big sort of outcomes apart from Jack Edwards from this game?
Well, Edwards getting injured after 1 over wasn't great. Like,
No.
thank goodness he took the catch to get himself to something to look at least, right? Yeah, 12 points, not really happy with that. I mean, Sam Harper, a lot of people went with a budget keeper option this round because you have a top order batsman at 80k who's batted all right leading into this double. He did stink it up twice though in this one, so he didn't really pay off, but at the same time, he didn't really lose much as well from going with them because let's be honest, no one was really deliberately targeting Phillippe or Duckett. They might have compromised with one of those two, but they weren't going out of their way to pick them. A lot of people were going out of their way to pick Sam Harper. Other things to mention: Stoinis bowled 4 overs in this one and wasn't really that effective. I wonder if I mean, obviously they changed it in the second game, which we'll get to shortly, but I I think they're gonna. I'm surprised in the context of that second game that he didn't bowl much, if at all. I don't think he did bowl at all. But you know, uh, he's not really a trusted prospect for me right now. But he was cheap, and he has a ceiling on him on his day. So I think you roll with him, even if it's on your bench as a loop.
Which is only interesting considering he bowls in the Australian T20 side. relatively regularly, but no, he's not good enough for the Stars. Our next game was Scorchers Heat in Perth, I think it was. Four rather of the Scorchers' top five all hit 20 plus scores, except obviously Finn Allen, as we all know, can't bat more than 3 balls despite having a 5-ball duck. Then we had Nick Hobson's 47 off 16, absolutely tonking Xavier Butler to all parts of the ground. That really just took momentum away from the Heat, I think, and didn't really give him much of a chance. McSweeney, Bryant, only guys to get double digits. Only guys to get, I mean runs, not points. Renshaw, sorry, did I say McSweeney? I meant Renshaw and Bryant. 36 off 24 and 35 off 24, those two respectively. Scorchers bowled really well. Wickets all round for a lot of them. And obviously in the first inning, Spencer Johnson 4 for 20 off of 4 overs there. Pretty good from Johnson, but absolute class from the Scorchers, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, like it was always going to be a defended total, wasn't it? It's the Scorchers that batted first and had decent total. They were always going to defend it because it's just that in Perth's DNA to defend every total that they set.
Mm.
I was surprised that 37 from Cooper Connolly was the third lowest score in that Scorchers lineup. Mm. But but it was right. Like you had, Ashton Agar topped it with 101. Nick Hobson chimed in with a 92. AJ Tyre 70. Turner 57. Berendorf 57. Just some solid scores right across the park. Everyone chipped in for this win.
He didn't
Yeah,
bowl, which may have played a part in that.
he didn't bowl. You know, he didn't need to. Like the bowling attack, each of the frontline quicks and Agar, that they did their job and they delivered, right, and that's what they were after. Um, Probably for the first time this season, truly, like it has been a fluctuating
Mm.
lineup in their bowling attack. That's changed a lot. Like we're seeing it multiple combinations there of Ty, Jai, and Lance Morris missing out. Berendorf's been the only one that's played every game from the pace bowling front. But they did their job this game. Spencer Johnson, great return, 4 for 20. Um, Certainly bummed that he played and played so well because it really did deprive Xavier Bartlett of points because you know um, Johnson was bowling the right lengths to the right batters at the right times, and sure enough, Bartlett bowled full tosses to Nick Hobson, and I was expecting wickets, and no, he went for 30. So there's that.
No, generally the full toss is not the best way to go about getting wickets. Generally, I say. Generally. We moved to Strikers Hurricanes, which was in Adelaide. Canes batted first. Mitch Owen departed for 8 off 4. So it was pretty, you say unfortunate, but those owners get a big old cash rise anyway. And then the next 5 batters all scored above 20, including, well, there was Jewel 22 off 20, Shy Hope 37-22. Chowdhury had 20 off 17, and Tim David had 33 off 14. But obviously, I think our main probably talking point would be Ben McDermott post Boxing Day, 68 off 34. I know there's a Strikers Renegades double game, but I almost think Ben McDermott is your number one priority into this round. Now, of course, in this game, Matt Short took a wicket after everyone traded him out. Jamie Overton continued to look good with the ball, having 2 wickets of his own. Short hit 52 and the other one hit 41. Ollie Pope contributed with another sort of just knock about 30 and got himself out, really. And then Jamie Overton threw himself a hissy fit off his during his 30 off 16. All bowlers relatively expensive. It was a high scoring game, 200 plus for each side. I'll go again with what were your takeaways?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we'll address Ben McDermott, shall we? We did say this. We did say in the last preview or review, or you know what we did.
The last show.
That the last show. That's the word. Thank you. That McDermott post Boxing Day, he'll start to click into gear, and he did. He's got the Sixers at Ninja Stadium, which, you know, I mean, if it was later in the day, I'd be making more fun at the fact that they've named a stadium after a kitchen appliance, but we won't. But yeah, he made 103 this round. He averages 50 at home, but he only averages 25 against the Sixers. So if you're looking for a matchup, not sure this is the one. However, the knock is around the corner, I feel. The big knock. Because
Big
the
one.
68's not the biggest knock. He will hit triple digits at some point this big bash, as is the way of Mr. McDermott. So it's happening. It's just a matter of when. You could bring him in this round, he could score you 5. That's well possible. Uh, I'm leaning towards crossing my fingers and hoping it's not this round that he does it.
Interesting.
Mm.
That'll be.
Now, I better. Yeah, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say it'll be one to watch very carefully over the next because it will be sort of the New Year's round, if you will, and I think that's when Ben McDermott could be the scariest.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's going to be tough times not owning him this round. But it's a single worst case scenario. He goes off. Sure, you've missed the score, but he won't score more than one of your relatively well performing double players. If you want to take some comfort,
Yeah, probably likely.
I'll,
The Stars
yeah.
and Thunder played in Canberra, which was actually a Stars home game. Yeah, on a technicality. Um, the Thunder were an interesting batting sort of lineup. 21-19 from our openers, Bancroft and Warner. And then Jason Sanger came in, who's been in form in Shield and domestic cricket. He had 33 off 27, and then Davies at duck, and then Sam Billings, 72. Should have been, what was it, 15 when there was a run out, but no one appealed, allegedly. I don't care, my team won. Bo Webster, 3 for 42 off 4 overs, and then Usama Mir, 2 for 37 off 4. So their wicket takers were relatively expensive. The Thunder shouldn't have got to 182, but here we are, they did. Ben Duckett went quick and big as well. Again, 67 off 49. And then sort of the same story as against the Sixers. There was no other real help. Wes Agar bowled really well. 4 overs, 3 for 25. And Lockie Ferguson went about his business, 1 for 27 off 4. And then it was sort of just a shared wickets around Sam's, Green, Andrews, and even Jason Sanger all had a wicket to share between them.
Yeah, I mean, we have a look at this game. Um, Sam Billings, his 147 should have been, probably 55 at best. Because, if the Stars knew how to appeal, he's not scoring 72, as we touched on in your recap of the game. Wes Agar's 1 over in the power surge pretty much got him almost all of his score. And so I'm not going to, that's not me diminishing Wes Agar. That's me saying, look at what he can do. 1 over to get 90% of your
Mm.
score. That's pretty good going. And then, of course, we touched on Ben Duckett. had a very good round, 210 on the double. It's a shame that we all missed him. The vast majority of us did. But I, much like you, we both considered him though, didn't we?
Yeah, I also considered Spencer Johnson. I also considered James Vians, but you win some, you lose. And it's more often than not you lose them.
Always.
The Heat played the Sixers in Brisbane at the Gabba, and the story of that game was really it was just a bit slow for Brisbane. At the 10 over mark, they would have been at about 60, I think they were at the time. Don't quote me on that, but they just weren't quick enough. Jimmy Pearson was still in at about the 10 over mark, and he made 24 of 25. He opened the batting, just in case anyone didn't know. Munro and Banton, Munro hit 9 off 17, just slow. McSweeney top scored for them, 34 off 29. It just wasn't quick enough from the Heat. I mean, like I know they lost consistent wickets, but again, nothing was quick. Renshaw and Bryant failed, which is probably the two that you would have liked to stand up in the game situation they were in, but just not a lot from them. Hayden Kerr bowled magnificently for 2 for 19 of his 4 overs, and then Ben Dwarshuis took 4 wickets as well, going at 8. And then you look to the Sixers innings, Josh Phillippe 66, not. And Curtis Patterson hit 32 off 20. Moses Enriquez 29 off 27. There was a wicket for Xavier Barlett and Paul Walker, but it didn't really mean all that much. And I should mention that I don't think I did that Vince did get a century last game, but I didn't mention that at the top. But anyway.
I mean, you know the phrase "who could forget"? Well,
Mm,
us. Us
I
is
did.
the answer. We ignore the runs that we don't own and we don't care about. Um,
Correct.
yeah. So the duality of man is how I'd like to open my recap of this.
Sure.
Spencer Johnson, 148, game one against the Perth Scorchers in Perth. Notoriously, that one of the hardest oppositions to play in, one of the hardest places to play at. He goes home against the Sixers lineup without Jack Edwards, 15 points.
Mm.
Um, Curtis Patterson was playing. Now, I'm not bagging out Curtis Patterson, the cricketer.
Certainly
I'm
not.
bagging out Curtis Patterson, the T20 player.
Okay.
But those things, they should have probably had 3 or 4, probably 5 wickets against this lineup. It's not an amazing batting lineup. Should have done a lot better with the ball than what they did. Um, I tell you what a common theme was though. Lachlan
Well,
Shaw scoring 0, playing
mm,
both games on the double.
mm.
Just something to think about.
Can't bat, can't bowl, can't field. No
Yes.
points on offer for Lockie Shaw. We'll move into our preview, I guess, now
Yeah,
of
why not?
round 4. Tonight, we'll know the result of the Boxing Day test, but we will also see the Thunder play the Renegades. And you could argue that's better. You could argue, uh,
You
yeah.
could argue, you could argue, but it'd be a grim outlook for your short to medium term future if you did that.
Now,
I would have thought.
Now, I can't imagine a lot of teams have a lot of Renegades players based on the fact that there was a bye last round. I do have two because that's just sort of how my team ended up on the bench, obviously. I was hoping they'd play this round, but they just missed out, I think. Um, the Strikers do also have the double this round, but I guess we'll get to that when we talk about them in the next game. Um, what are some Renegades you're considering for this round, I guess? And are there any Thunder players you would possibly consider?
Well, let's start out with the Renegades now. Off the top, if you had to sell Will Sutherland, he's the number one Renegade to bring in.
Yep.
He's just in great form. Um, I'll say this on the side that he's definitely the most informed keeper in the comp.
Easily.
But it would make sense that everyone is urgently trades him in only to flop. It would make sense that he does that.
That's why you bring
That's the
in
way.
Ben McDermott.
That's why you bring in Ben McDermott, or you just don't worry about keeper at all right now. So right now, I'm not worrying about keeper at all, and I'm rolling with Sam Harper once more. What's the worst case scenario? His score drops out of my best 11. That's the worst case scenario. I'll cop that on the chin, because the rest of my team's pretty good. I've got a lot of money distributed, so I'm not concerned about that. But Tim Seifert, I think he's a luxury trading this round if you
Yep.
sold him. I just think, there's better ways to spend $184,000 this round. Um, Fergus O'Neill, that's a good trading. 140K for a new ball bowler against Thunder lineup, which has been volatile with the bat in the first game. And then who do we play in the second? You play the Adelaide Strikers. Now, again, being a little bit volatile with the bat as well. So there's that. There is something there for Ferguson. I'd be shocked if he goes under 100 points across the two games.
Yeah, Fergus O'Neill, definitely an appealing one. I'd
Mm.
say his only probably poor game was, I think, the second game of round one, where I don't think he scored many.
I
Game one.
think straight off the bat, yeah, game one.
You might be, yeah, I think you're right, actually. Um,
Oh, I've got a couple more guys to mention if that's all right.
go for it.
Well, I better mention him since I'm trading him in, but Jacob Bethel.
Yep.
Um, I mean, if you watch half of a lunch break with Michael Vaughan on it, you'll know enough about Jacob Bethel. Um,
Yeah.
the kid's blonde, apparently. Manufactured or not, I don't know. He can bowl left arm off spin. He's apparently the
Manufactured.
greatest bat that you'll ever see, according to
From the
Michael
West
Vaughan.
Indies.
From the West Indies, plays for England. Surprise, surprise, another
Hmm.
adopted Englishman. Um, you put all those ingredients together, and then you see he's dropped to $100,000. And you're thinking,
Hmm.
how can the greatest batsman of all time, according to Michael Vaughan, be worth $100,000?
Hmm.
Probably shouldn't be worth 100,000. Probably started off too cheap. He had one bad game where he scored, I think, two, and then a 41. And I just feel like he will get into his work in one of these innings somewhere in this round. He's
Yeah.
too good to keep down. Well, from what we've heard, he's too good to keep down, and he's got a bit of Fraser McGurk about him in terms of how quickly he can accelerate. So I'm going to take a risk on him at 100K with dual position, um, and hopefully it pays off in one of the games.
Well, if you saw the New Zealand and England Test series, I know it's a different format, but there was scores there. So he obviously can do it with the bat and Bazball, so they're essentially playing T20 in Test matches anyway. Um, did you have any Thunder guys you might consider, or no, not this round?
All right, Jason Sanger. Jason Sanger would be the only one I'd consider for now.
Provided he's fit, obviously.
Provided
Yeah,
he's
he's named in the
fit,
squad, but
he was named. He was named in the squad. Bowled, and I only bowled one over. That was partially because of the bicep injury he suffered in the game. Um, got a wicket, batting at number 3 as well, and he's 80K. A few things I like about that. And I sort of lean towards picking him up in the next round or two. Um, of course, Wes Agar would have to be on that list as well.
yep.
I mean, we'll shared at the start of the season. He averages 96 and a half at showground. So basically, when he's playing at home, he's going to do really well. Minus 23 break even. So if you're going to bring him in, probably got to do it this round, unless you want to pay for probably 140K for him. He doesn't play, he plays at home this game in round 4. So again, 96 average there could be something interesting. Then he plays at Optus round 5, and then for the double, he plays at the Gabba, and then a home game against Hobart. So I'm looking to bring him in next round, and I'm hoping that he doesn't absolutely brain it this round.
The Strikers play the Scorchers at Adelaide Oval, and it would probably make sense that everyone is finding a way to trade Matt Short back in after a wicket and 50 plus runs from Matt Short this past round. I'm just going to put the question this way because I'm sure this is how a lot of people got him in. Are you trading out Glenn Maxwell to bring in Matt Short?
I am, regretfully. Um, I just don't think there's a way that you can have them both right now, particularly when you've got, a Jamie Overton at 240. You've got guys like Will Sutherland at 190, Dawson's at 190. You've got a lot of these blokes around that value. But then some junk that you want to trade out, like your Tom Currans, your um, what's the name? Sorry, let me get it here. Paul Walters, these sorts of garbage guys that you brought in on the double. They're only 140. They're not enough to fund trading in a $250,000 player. So something's got to give somewhere. Um, and for me, it's Maxwell out for Matt Short. I am scared because Maxwell could brain it on any given day, but I figure that Matt Short, he'll do all right.
Yeah, Matt Short has double games, so I mean he didn't play that well the first double game he had, but he still scored 100 plus. So I feel like, despite how well Jamie Overton's been playing, it's probably like a 1A, 1B for those two, and who you should be trading in if you don't already have Overton and or Matt Short. The only scorcher that I'm sort of looking for is Cooper Connolly. He's batting ahead of Aaron Hardy, which is a good sign. Josh Inglis was injured. He injured himself yesterday. I saw. I think it was calf, or they
Yeah.
don't quote me on that. Um, so I think there's still that role for Connolly just for the rest of the season now, which is all right. We didn't see him bowl last game, but hopefully on a sort of game to game basis, there's room for him to bowl. Um, for me, wouldn't really be going anywhere near that Perth Scorchers bowling lineup. It's too volatile at the moment for me. And you mentioned earlier, I think that Jason Berendorf has been the only one that's played games. Wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play in Adelaide. It's a bit different with Jai Richardson with the Test squad now, but Marley Beardman could snag a game, or someone else might, and they'll be good enough, probably.
And what a joy it would be to put the eyes on Marley Beardman, a
Mm,
guy that was, inches away from playing for Australia over the winter when no one was watching. That would have been good to see on replay in the morning. But no, Marley Beardman, I think he'll play a few games this season. And this is one of the games where I kind of think he probably gets a debut. But
mm,
hey, I mean, I don't even know if he's been named. He might not even be named in the squad. So let's keep an eye out on that. Um,
maybe not.
I'll have a chat about the strikers' targets, shall I?
Sure.
Jamie Overton, Matt Shaw, they're pretty self-explanatory. Not sure who I'm captaining out of those two right now. Um, Matt Shaw's Matt
Interesting.
Shaw, but Jamie Overton's definitely had
Jamie
a better
Everton's
year.
easily been the best Supercoach player,
Mm,
just full
yeah,
stop.
I probably lean towards him right now, but you never know.
It's Matt Shaw.
Um, it's Matt Shaw. That's the thing. If you wanted to go with a pod, you could go with Lloyd Pope. He'd be
Mm,
paying a fair bit for him though. He's 156k. I'm not sure if I have the balls to do that. Um, then, of course, Darcy Short, Henry Thornton, they've got ceilings on them, particularly Thornton being a genuine wicket taker. Ollie Pope's pretty cheap at 135k. Liam Scott, he bowled 4 overs and bowled at the death as well, and he's 51k. Um, if you trust that role to stay firm and stay true, that's a pretty good trade at 50k. You might be able to fund um, Matt Shaw and Will Sutherland in and still trade out someone pretty cheap and then ensure that you can get 3 double game players in if you back in Liam Scott's role.
Yeah, that might be something I'm doing, but to each their own, I
The,
guess.
the thoughts crossed my mind because, instead of trading out Paul Walter, I could trade out, um, you know, someone like Sam Constas, sort of like that sort of value, have that sort of flexibility. So I could do that, but I think we'll hold firm with Bethel for now. And the final one I'll mention, Cameron Boyce. He's averaging 16 and a half. I'm not going to say that he's definitely better than that, but same
Mm.
ceiling as Lloyd Pope for half the price. Might be
Mm.
worthwhile picking. Chris Lynn's dropped a lot too. He's only averaged 15 so far. I dare say that there's an innings for him at some point. And I suppose that's it for the strikers, but I've got to do my job. And last week we were on Price Watch for Finn Allen. Uh, he got 20 thanks to a run out. Otherwise, he would have scored 0. Now, he's 86.9k with a 93 break even. So, yet again, you can watch and wait on him. If he has a good game, you will pay at most $95,000 for him next round with a negative break even and everyone playing once, I think. Best case scenario, he goes low again, drops another 20k. You're paying 66k for Finn Allen. That's something I'd do.
You were right. Next round, everyone does play one game. Yeah, so basically trading all the strikers and watch on Finn Allen. I think I'll sum it up for you. Next we go to Hobart for the Hurricanes and the Sixers. We mentioned Ben McDermott off the top, and considering both these teams do not play a double, do you bother with Mitch Owen at this point? And I know you have him, but for someone who might not, do you bother? And apart from McDermott, is there one other Hurricane that could interest another SuperCoach player?
Well, let's start out with Mitch Owen. So obviously his break even pretty negative. I'll get the exact number here once I find it. Here we go. Negative 61 break even for Mitch Owen. So if you're gonna move on him, you move on him now because he will drop that 150 fairly soon after this round, in fact. And then you'll need to sell probably. So deal straight in, straight out. I don't know that he's even on in your best lineup. Uh, in fact, if you play him, you play him as involved in a bench loop. It's the safest way to deal with him.
Yeah.
So negative 61 break even. He goes onto the field. He's got $15,000. That's the way it goes. But for me, um, I prefer to throw a measly 73,000 at Curtis Patterson, stuck him on your bench, uh, and watch some money fly in because that's a better option for me than not Jack Edwards, than Mitch Owen because he did well enough to justify probably holding the number 3 spot even when Edwards returns, just because Edwards is a a versatile batter you can ban him at 6 pretty comfortably, and he will do a pretty good job.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. It's just one of those rounds, I guess. There's doubles around, and you're probably not looking to trade in guys from Hobart, a Sixers, Thunder, Scorchers, Heat, Stars, any other team that's not Renegades and Strikers. Um, would there be a Sixer you look towards, Nath, this round, or no?
I mean, Curtis Patterson, Todd Murphy. You know, if I'm bringing a 6er, it's for the break even. Todd Murphy, 132 last double, has 137 points on the season in 4 games. So going into the double, he was averaging 2, which means his break even's pretty low at -50. Uh, wouldn't start him, but he probably works his way up to 110K after 2 or 3 games, and then you sell him.
The Heat and the Stars play up at the Gabba on Wednesday the 1st. So we'll have 2 games. On New Year's Day, one in Hobart, one in Brisbane. Um, it's just sort of another case of these teams don't play doubles, so there's not a lot of interest. A lot of people will have Heat and Stars players probably still lingering in their lineup from this round. Um, who would you rather still have in your team lingering around? Who are some players that you'd want to keep from the Heat and the Stars?
Well, I think Nathan McSweeney at the price that you likely brought him in at, he can probably stay in your lineup.
Yeah.
Same goes for Matt Renshaw. Um, the guys with a fair bit of money tied in them, like Paul Walter, Xavier Bartlett, um, Glenn Maxwell. I don't know, it's not the Heat, but just those sorts of players. Um, they're the ones I'm looking to move on.
Yeah.
Spencer Johnson should stay in your lineup. I think he's a season-long hold if you have him. Uh, I know I can't target him now, but once the 150 drops out of his break even and he drops a little bit in value, I'll have a look at him again. But for now, he's a pass for me. But generally speaking, no one really stands out in this game. In this game as a whole. Like, we can do a cheeky price watch on Colin Munro at 96K with an 82 break even. He's
Mm.
bound to have an innings at some point. So I think once he drops below the 80K mark again, there's another case of what do you lose from bringing him in? Very little in both situations.
Yeah, he didn't quite fire last night. Only scored 9 off, or 17 in the end.
Mm,
Um, last game of the round is our 2 double game teams, Renegades and Strikers, and they play that at Marvel. So
mm.
interesting deck to be playing on. Do you change anything here? Is there anything you feel needed to be added here? I know it's another game, but we have already talked about the Strikers and Renegades in relative detail.
I mean, we have addressed the Renegades and the Strikers. I think the key point here is that it'll be spin to win. It'll be low totals at Marvel. So invest in spin bowlers or just bowlers in general. But spin bowlers will do well. Um, I wouldn't be banking on big batting performances from either side. You might still get some solid scores, but you're not going to get these big 70 plus run scores from guys like Matt Short, um, Chris Lynn, Fraser McGurk, Bethel. The list goes on. I mean, it was Cypher. Um, you're more likely to see um, guys like Will Sutherland take 3 for, or you know Henry Thornton bag a few as well. They're more likely the sorts of scores you're going to see. But it's not a bad. It'll be a good contest, I think, at Marvel.
I think one bit of news we haven't touched on is Jack Edwards. I'll just ask in case you do know. Do you know how long Jack Edwards is out for? Do you know if he'll be playing his game against the Hurricanes in Hobart?
So he was named in the squad to play last night against the Heat. And the only reason he didn't play, I believe, is he was 50-50 with the hamstring, but he was named. So that's an encouraging sign. We're still not sure if it's a hamstring or a groin. We think it's a hamstring, but could be either one. But regardless, it's not great for his bowling outlook. But so if he plays, you hold and just see what you get from him. If he doesn't play, I'm I'm pretty likely to sell and hold on to Paul Walter sort of figure and just take back the fully fit player in.
I think that wraps us up. You
Believe it
agree?
does. I agree.
So everyone enjoy this round of Big Bash. Enjoy the result of the Boxing Day test. Whatever side you are on, win for Australia, win for India, or a draw for some people, maybe even Australians as well. Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. We'll
No,
see you guys next time, unless here we go. This will be something. No,
no. Oh, I've got
no.
absolutely nothing. Sorry.
Hmm. It is
Alrighty.
almost 6 o'clock on a Monday morning, and
I'm go- yeah.
yeah,
I'm
we're
I'm going back to bed. I'm
probably.
sleeping. Okay. Cool.
See you guys next time.
Yeah.